Camera.
Okay.
Hi guys, it's your two poly chicks.
Hi guys.
And for the month of June, we wanted to highlight men and fathers, which Father's Day is in the month of June. So we wanted to highlight men and just put certain items in perspective from a male point of view and to discuss from a father's standpoint. So today we have two special guests with us from the Fathers Incorporated organization, which is based in Georgia. We have Javin Foreman, who's the project director of the Gentle Warriors Academy at Fathers Incorporated. He has experience as a youth development practitioner in both Chicago and Atlanta. He's led programs for the Illinois Department of Human Services in Chicago Public Schools, a graduate of Morehouse College, and a proud father of one daughter and two sons. So we have him, Javin, and we also have Isaac Cook, who serves as the lead case manager for Fathers Incorporated, with a background in parental accountability court, where he works with chronic non-payers who are obligated to pay child support. He's also an 8-year Marine Corps veteran with a special focus on assisting homeless veterans. And he's also on the board of the steering committee to assist men and women coming out of prison to properly acclimate them back to society and to avoid recidivism by providing essential services that they need. Wow. So hi guys, how is everybody doing?
Hi you guys. Hi.
Excellent, excellent. So happy to be here on a lovely day like this. As you know, June is a special time for us, Father's Day. So you all having us on, this means a lot. We appreciate this.
Thank you. You came on. Thank you for coming on today.
Yes, for sure. Thank you guys for coming on. So let's just get right into it. We're going to discuss a few things with programs for fathers. We know there's a lot of programs for moms. There's support groups, there's resources, there's assistance, there's shelters, there's learning resources, but hardly any for dads. Hardly any of them. And it's so funny because when we were researching organizations to invite on, it was hard to find organizations that were still up and running and actually have people staffed on their organization. So it's really hard to find fatherhood programs and resources. So can you guys tell us a little bit about Fathers Incorporated and what you guys do, like some of the resources and things that you offer?
Sure. So funny enough, Fathers Incorporated started, I hear those New York accents popping up. So Fathers Incorporated started, so you all will feel it in 2004. Our CEO is a Brooklyn guy himself. So he started it, primarily from his experiences in dealing with fatherhood, what he went through with dealing with child support, dealing with baby mama drama, until he learned, that's not really what it is, baby mama drama. A lot of times it's accountability that we all have to take, So he has Braswell, our CEO, has an amazing story. So the curriculums that he's developed over the years sort of speak to that. But Fathers Incorporated started out, providing support for organizations, whether it's governmental organizations or community-based organizations that serve fathers. He just wanted to bolster what they did, provide technical support. But beyond that, in training, Fathers Incorporated is in 70 barbershops as they relocated to Georgia in 2014. 70 barbershops with real dads read. So I'd say it's always been a really conscious effort, to serve men and guys, fathers, where they are. I think our organization has done a great job of that. And as we get more into it, we'll talk about our direct service work, which is new for Fathers Incorporated, that goes through the Gentle Warriors Academy. So that's kind of who we are, how we started, and what we're looking toward the future.
Okay, so I'm sure it's a passion for you guys. Isaac, I'll ask you this question. What made you get involved in this type of organization? What was it about your passion for the organization that made you want to get involved with it?
Well, mine started when I want to say it was 2015. I had just come back from overseas working as a government contractor. And I went to this fatherhood class, and I was just sharing some information with the fatherhood team. And the fatherhood supervisor offered me a job to work in child support to help dads. Okay. So I just went in there with the notion of just sharing information, building my community. I was offered a position, then I stayed there for almost 5 years.
Wow.
I saw an opportunity. Me and Javin, we were in a training together. You know, I heard these brothers speak, and they talked about being in a brotherhood. And oftentimes, you know, with brothers, you know, with Black men, we don't really have that support. We don't have that brotherhood. Women, it just happens unintentionally. You guys just have that thing that puts you guys together all the time.
Yeah.
And you guys with that unique self-care is just something that you guys always have done. And that's what we're trying to do here with Fathers Incorporated, is build that brand of brotherhood. Fatherhood is brotherhood. So that's kind of how I got involved with it. It's just by chance, and it was something that I was looking for, because, you know, after playing sports and all that, man, it was just something that I was missing. And I was like, man, I need to give back, but I don't know how to do it. And then I just kind of fell into this opportunity here.
Wow. Okay. And so one of the bedrocks of fatherhood is paternity, and I think, Cindy, you wanted to touch on some of the paternity.
Oh my God, because I have three. Make sure I'm not screaming, guys. Just tell me when, because the paternity issue is a big one for me, because I have 3 sons, and of course I watch Paternity Court. And when I see it, and I see these men that have signed the birth certificate, tried to step up, tried to be a father, and then the woman says, oops, I forgot I was with, 2 other people, or he's not really the father, or I knew he wasn't the father. And that's so angering to me. But as a divorced parent myself, it feels funny to tell my kids, make sure you ask for, because I have 2 adult sons, make sure that you ask for a paternity test. I know that would be an issue if you ask a girl, hey, even if y'all are in a long-term relationship. So I wanted to know if you all thought that there was some things that the states could do so that it could take that burden off of the man having to do it, like when the baby's born, smack test, or something like that. What is the new, in other words, smack test. And I know Dr. Jeff is on your board, and I've seen him on the show. And I want to know, is there legislation coming out? Is there a push for this legislation to make it so that you have to test? And if it's not yours and you've already signed the certificate, can you get out of it? Because I always hear her say you can't really necessarily get out of it. But I want to know, is there anything going on right now? Are you pushing for that? Hopefully so.
Yep, Isaac, you want to touch on that?
So basically, essentially here in Georgia, House Bill 96 talks about legitimation. So in the state of Georgia, they don't acknowledge the signing of the birth certificate in the hospitals anymore. They don't acknowledge the paternity acknowledgement form. You have to petition the court. So basically, you have to basically draw a petition. Stand before the clerk so they can put you in front of the judge so you can gain your rights. Georgia is the only unique state that does it that way. In other states, if the mother says, okay, well, Isaac's a father, then I'm the father, unless I petition for my paternity rights.
Right.
So in the state of Georgia, what you do is you petition the court. They'll establish paternity. They'll establish legitimation to make sure that you have rights to that child. And then also they'll establish what's called, your parenting time. So they will determine how much time you get as a parent in the state of Georgia. And so there was some things on the table earlier in the year where they were going to do 50-50 custody. But from speaking with some of the lawmakers and attorneys, I think that went by the wayside. So that's what they're doing.
They said they establish your time. They get to set your time.
Yes. So if you go through the courts, the judge will establish how much parenting time you get.
Okay.
I don't necessarily trust Georgia, so I think that seemed a little bit, geared toward, it seems like people of color who can't really afford good lawyering, good, or even fathers that have maybe not been there the whole time, or I just was so fascinated at how many women actually don't tell the parent that he's the parent.
Yeah.
And they wait till the child gets to be 3, 4, 9, 12, 20. And it's fascinating because I come from a 2-parent home. I guess that's my little Black privilege. you know, having that little privilege of not understanding this paternity thing because I came from a 2-parent home. But when I started watching that show, I was like, is this made up? Like, does this really happen that a woman will call you after 20 years? She see you on the bus and say, by the way, this is your father.
Yeah. And you know what, I'll jump in and say that not establishing paternity at the forefront when the baby is born also robs the child of knowing where their lineage is. And it robs the dad, especially in a 20-year-old that you have a child. That man had missed out on 20 years of being a father if he desired. You took that chance away from him, or that choice. As a married woman, I was researching and noticed that if I got pregnant, let's say I stepped out, I wouldn't step out on my husband. I'm not stepping out just in case when he watches this. But if I had gotten pregnant with someone else, that child would legally be his.
It's his.
Yep.
Certain things that it's ridiculous.
It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's just, I mean, I don't know. I feel like something should be done. You guys, I mean, you have that organization and that platform. Something should be done to establish paternity at the beginning. And that way men are not responsible for kids that are not theirs, or responsible in not being held responsible. So
two things for me. The first thing is that, I've even on conference calls, Zoom calls, Javin's been there. My biggest issue with child support and how they establish child support is that the mom can allege that someone is a father. Not that they don't even have to be I can just, hey, well, Joe Blow down the street, he's a father. Yeah. And so they will send out documentation to serve that father, and that father has no inclination that, okay, they're serving me for a child that's not mine. I'm not going to court. So then they develop, they put together what's called a default order. That default order goes into place. It's going to go to your employer. They're going to start taking money out of your paycheck. Yeah. And so with that being said, I got an issue with that because I'm working right now. Me, Javin, and the team, we're working on a high profile case with a former NBA player who they never established paternity. Wow. They've taken out nearly $500,000 out of his pay throughout his career. And the mom is essentially saying that he's not the dad.
Oh, wow.
He's not the dad? She said he's not the dad?
Yes.
Wow. And there's nothing, is there anything that he can do? I mean, I guess you guys are working on it, but I mean, that just sounds so absurd to me and there's no repercussions. Are there any repercussions for someone alleging paternity and they knowingly alleged paternity and they knew it wasn't true? Are there any repercussions for the women to be a deterrent for not doing that?
The only thing that I know that men can do is that you can go after her in a civil setting. You can go after her for try to get your money back, but there's no guarantee. That's $500,000. That's more than a lot of people make in their lifetime. So I doubt it.
Wow, that's so disgusting. And I've heard her say on the show, like things like, you can try to get your name off the birth certificate. I don't think you're going to get your money back, but please feel good knowing that you gave to a child. I'm like, girl, bye. That don't make sense to me. That doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't, because I have 3 boys, but that just doesn't make sense to me. I would be a furious grandma.
Yeah.
Furious.
Well, and aside from just the financial aspect of it, you're also dealing with emotions. You have someone that's thinking that this person is their father for however many years, and then it's established that there's someone else. So you're robbing men emotionally as well, and that's a big part of it as well.
And they go to jail. If they don't pay child support. You can go to jail, which I don't get that either, because I can't pay. If I'm in jail now, I got a record too.
and that's the second part that I didn't talk about is the fact that this former NBA player is paying all this money for a child that essentially is not his, and he spent 18 months in jail because of it.
Wow.
Don't you know how embarrassing that is? How much trauma you got to go through, knowing in the back of your mind that I'm not the dad, but I'm sitting in jail because of a child that's alleged that's mine.
Wow. And there's no repercussion. I think that's kind of ridiculous. But I'm just gonna we'll touch on the child support issue a little more. But part of the challenges that we see with parents and moms and dads when they're outside of the home. So let's say Outcast always says, you guys are in Georgia, so you know Outcast, he said in Sorry Miss Jackson, you can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. So let's say there's a good portion of marriages and relationships that end in a breakup or divorce.
60%, sorry.
So 60%. So, I mean, like I said, you can plan, it's nice weather right now, but you don't know long term what's going to happen. And one of the things is co-parenting. What type of, and I'll direct this at Javin, because I know you worked on some of these issues with co-parenting. What are the challenges that dads see or fathers see with co-parenting when they're outside of the home? What are some of the challenges that you guys see and work on? Some of the biggest ones.
So we have 2 curriculums that address it. So that's part of the work we're doing now on our Fatherhood is Brotherhood campaign, which people can check out at fatherhoodisbrotherhood.com and on all social. Because what we understand and what we try to get the fathers to understand, hey, that relationship may not have worked. Emotions might be high. So, you have to do real work, to do this. I mean, sometimes it's the therapy with your friends, your girlfriends, you get it off your chest. But with guys, we hold it in. We think we're the only one that's going through it, right? So we find when guys understand and realize, dang, I didn't know my boy I played basketball with on Saturdays had this exact same issue with his child's mother, where there's a visitation order in place and she still keeps the child from me. Or it could be, so we always say, brother, what's your part in it though, right? You were smooth enough to get her to have that child with you, but now that it didn't work, whoever's feelings are raw, because sometimes it's the guy's feelings that are raw about it. Sometimes it's the woman's, feelings. So we try to get a guy in the right frame of mind with our next level life skills curriculum, which is a 5-week curriculum, and our next level fatherhood curriculum, which is 5 weeks. We have to deal with the emotional side of this. It's a lot of hurt involved, and we know our people need therapy for a myriad of reasons, So we're very, very intentional about doing the work, the emotional work that needs to take place, the healing. But you'll always hear us say, like Isaac spoke to and alluded to, it's the brotherhood. It's the support of brotherhood. And I got to be real, it's the sisters behind us that are also saying that sometimes it's the new girlfriend that makes the referral for her new boyfriend or husband to participate in our program because she wants to see him as a whole person. So it has to be the whole community working together. Know that men have feelings. This affects us in massive ways. But when we come together and heal, that's when you see this good parenting that takes place, despite the relationship.
Yeah, and that's key to it. It's like, aside from everything else, the child is the one at issue. The child is the one that's hurting. The child is the one that has to share the parenting, the 2 households. And I heard someone say, well, I don't say you're going to your dad's house. You're going to your other house on the weekends, or you're going home on the weekends. So not stipulating that, hey, there's a separate household. That's one of the things that, we can just, with words, we can just, make it a little easier. And like you said, women, we hold some of the burden of the co-parenting. I have an ex that we would go all the way, drive from Brooklyn to the Bronx and pick up that child, or try to pick up the child, and the person wasn't there, or the person wouldn't answer the door. And it's like, but this is part of the co-parenting that you guys established. You should be having this child at the ready. And it just, my whole thing, and like you guys said, it's the emotional involvement, the emotional part that affects the whole, the mother, the father, and the children. So that's such a big challenge.
I remember when my son was in probably, I don't know, 5th grade or 6th grade, and we had a parent conference. Now me and my husband were already divorced. And he came to the meeting, but he also brought, his girlfriend, I guess. So the teacher was like, are you okay with this? I said, she's watching him sometimes. She needs to be there to hear how he's doing in math, how he's doing in this. So the teacher thought it was a little strange. I didn't care. I was over it. And I wanted whoever's going to be touching my child on both sides of the line to have the same information. But I seen, as a teacher, when I was teaching, I've seen a lot of it be just the mother and just the mother side of it, and the father not being involved. And I couldn't tell why, But that was very disappointing, very disturbing to me. When you guys said it started in New York, do you still have a New York part that you do? Is there still something happening in New York in terms of the Fatherhood Inc.?
So only training. You know, there's still some trainings, but we don't have an office in New York. But we do trainings. We have a relationship with the child support office in New York also. But our CEO Kenneth Brazel, he does trainings all around the country. So we just had a really good call. Child support in New York has a really good program. And I imagine it's still running for guys that were behind on child support. They would kind of match their money up to a certain dollar amount. They had a real cool name for it. So if any of your callers or your viewers are interested, they should look that up, because one of the things we find is that these fathers are so afraid of the system that they just think they can stay away from it. They'll get up in these crazy arrears. So really, a lot of times it's about facing your fears, you know, just facing your fears. And that's what Isaac and his team do a great job of, just organizing these guys, getting your paperwork together. There's a way to go at it. She really doesn't have more rights than you. One of our ambassadors, former NBA player, former NBA player Dennis Scott, he says she just beat you to court. That's what it is. She just beat you to the courthouse. So that's what guys have to do. Just face it.
Oh, man. Which is so when you talk about the child support issue, I know that's a sticking point for a lot of men. I mean, they don't want to be bothered. They don't want to go to the court. When you say black men in court, that's like, I don't want to be in there. I don't want to be around the judges.
You might as well say police. You might as well say police.
Right. It's like a stopping point. But we have to get over that stigma and that issue and educate more on the system and how child support works. And I think I'll speak for myself. In my opinion, it's an antiquated system based on when women didn't work outside of the home and when husbands were the sole breadwinner. So it's like, okay, we need your funds to help take care of this child because you're not inside the home. But there's so many things that have changed over the last 60 years that I think the child support system needs to be revamped and revisited, because the amount of money that men take home with having child support obligations is like,
it's like you said, it is antiquated, but it's also that women were expected to be a caregiver. So the expectation was the man works, the woman is the caregiver, and there was no divorce. This is just based on it being a nuclear family. That's why the father is the father. When you marry, as soon as the baby's born, it's assumed he is the father. Same things. I mean, what I wanted to know, was there any what are they doing to help, or maybe what your organization has seen in helping to stop these things that are preventing fathers from being fathers? In other words, like if the custody arrangement is not being adhered to, the courts probably are not that nice to the men when they come in and complain that she's hiding the baby. She's playing hide the potato. So what is your organization seeing in terms of maybe even new laws and legislation, or even things that have happened that women are allowed? I want to say women, but it's probably not fair. It's just in the custody battle issues that are preventing good fatherhood.
Yep. Isaac, you want to touch on our relationships with these attorneys? We got some attorney sisters, brothers, you know, man, people of all races, ages that have stepped up and really offered us free legal help and service in those realms. You want to touch on that, Isaac?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So a lot of the conversation, you know, we even have what we call Daddy Power Hour, where we get these attorneys and we touch on a lot of the ills that some of these dads go through. And we spend a whole hour with just questions and answers to some of the things that they go through. And so these attorneys have really been instrumental in helping us better understand that in different counties, the judges are going to be different all across the state of Georgia. More specifically in one of the more conservative counties, Cobb County, they were, it was an all-white judge, all-white DA, everything was white. But the thing is that it's changing now. And so you're seeing a change, almost like a change of the guard, if you will. And so we're seeing small changes, but we still got to get to legislation so we can change some of these archaic laws that kind of prevent dads from seeing their children. And also we advise them. We don't give them legal advice, but we give them the tools necessary to say, hey, if this mom is not letting you see that child, you can petition the court for contempt. If she's not letting you see that child, then she can be held liable. She can go to jail for that. And so, yes. And so this is the information that our attorneys are spreading. And then also they're equipping us with the information to be able to provide that same knowledge and information to our dads.
So how sympathetic are judges with that? How sympathetic are judges with these paternity issues when the father is like being prevented?
So I think a lot of times, judges are going to follow the law. Now, our attorneys also let us know some judges have a vantage point that they work from, right? So here's one thing you all should also know about child support when it started. It started for white men who hid assets. That was the original intent and purpose of child support.
Okay.
Now, Black men are the primary ones that have gotten caught up. It wasn't for men that didn't have a lot of money and take $13 out of your paycheck when you make $9 an hour. It was for men that hid assets, right? Now it's been flipped. So our attorney team help us to understand that. So you have some who are very sympathetic to men's causes, but a lot of times they're going to follow the letter of the law.
Wow.
So I tell guys, you have to turn into a paperwork gangster. You can file these petitions by yourself, with our guidance and, us helping you through the situation. But we're also trying to do is we're creating a system along with some of our partners to be able to get as many guys to go through the legitimation process. We touched on that some. But we want to have it set up electronically. You come into our world, you do our intake form, we find out what county you live in, you need legitimation services. All your paperwork is automatically downloaded into our system on the correct form. You need to do a couple other things, and you're ready to go to take that to file yourself. So we're going to try to get thousands of guys to go through that legitimation. Once we get visitation down, that'll be the next thing we move to. Visitation. If you have this issue, you can kind of follow the roadmap, the matrix. You have a child support order in place. You have a visitation order in place. Your child's mother won't let you see her. Move to this box. Boom.
Wow.
Complete this. So that's what we're going to look to do.
I love that.
I'm
so into that. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. I love that.
And Cindy and I, we were having a conversation on the visitation orders. Now, how do those come about? Are those orders that both parties are agreeing to? Is it set by the judge? Is it like how? Because I feel like 48 times, when you say twice a month, you get every other weekend. That's what, 4 times a month times 12 and every other holiday. That's about 60 days a month. 60 days a year that a dad would be legally able to see their child, and that's not even a third of the year. I don't feel that you can be an adequate with that time frame. So who sets up these visitation orders or agreements as they were? How does that come about? Do you guys know?
Well, so two things that I, as a community activist and as an advocate for parents, I advise men that are, we do a lot of barbershop talks. Real dads read. We talk to dads at the gym. Any place where we know that our brothers are going to be at, that's where we are, right? So I advise dads to avoid the child support system. Try to do it on your own if you can. Yeah. However, if there's a situation where you can't, if you go through the system, like Javin was saying earlier, the judge is he's gonna try to follow the law, right? He's gonna try to follow the law, and in so doing, they are going to see basically which parent is the most suitable so that child can have the best experience. So 9 times out of 10, from what I've seen over the last 5 to 10 years, they've essentially gone to decide with the mom, but it's changing because there are attorneys out there that are getting full custody rights to the dads and not the moms.
Yeah.
So it depends. If you got an attorney, your chances of getting full custody or primary custody for that child that I've seen in court is far greater. If you go in there on your own, the attorney's fees, I'm saying in my opinion, it's too much. In my opinion,
it's bad amount.
$3,000 to $5,000 to go through that court experience. I could be paying that in child support 5,000.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it
just for them
depends.
to talk to you on the phone is like $1,000. The retention is like $1,000.
Yeah. And here's another thing to think about it too. So when we talk about these visitation situations, think about a dad who's been with his child every single day for 7 years of that child's life, and the child is 8 now. They went through a divorce, and now you're with that child 60 days after. You think what that does to a man emotionally. We don't even think about that stuff. So when we get these guys in, they're depressed, they're broken, they don't have confidence in themselves. Their work performance might suffer. And just think about the day-to-day issues we all deal with already. So think about what it was like for a dad during a pandemic. A lot of times they wouldn't enforce a visitation order during the pandemic. So that's the emotional side that we have to deal with, that we need the community to fully understand, but we need guys to fully understand you're not the only one. Just by getting it off your chest. I get texts all the time, man, Javin, I didn't even know you guys existed. I was about to give up. I was totally, I tried. I spent all the money I had going to court. I filed stuff myself. This is one guy in particular I'm thinking of as I say this, man. And so now I text him. It made me think I need to text him again. He was supposed to file some motions himself last week. He had to build his courage up to do it.
Wow.
He's totally in the right. She's evading the child support orders. She sends him texts, and I'm just not going to do what child support says. Right. She's gotten arrested once for it. So it's these things we just need to know to keep these brothers encouraged, whether it's your cousin, your uncle, your nephew, your sons, to know you have rights, and the community loves you. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. It's almost like we feel like the mother loves the child more. I don't know. We're kind of conditioned to believe she's the parent and he's kind of the babysitter. That stuff is very aggravating.
Yeah, and it's not that. When you think about 60 days, as Javin said, 60 days is nothing. My husband has been in my son's life, like you said, for 8 years. He's 8 years. I can't imagine ripping him away from his father. And you're talking about day-to-day activities, going to get ice cream, picking him up from school, things like that affect the child and the husband. So whereas he's conditioned and has this routine, it's ripped away from him. And I think we have to play our part as women or as caregivers or as whoever has the custody of the child to think of the best option for that child. 60 days is nothing. You want that in there. And most fathers want to be a part of the child's life. You want to be able to take them to, like you said, AAU basketball tournaments and to be with them on the weekends and go to movies. And it's such an important thing. And it's such a, I hear from my guy friends that it's an anomaly because I have a 24-year-old. He actually is him right here. He served in the Navy, and with his dad, I never took him for child support. Never. We worked out everything, all our visitation. Luckily, we were in the same city, like within a 2-mile radius, and we worked out everything on our own because, to me, he's 50% of that child. He's 50% responsible for my son, and if I can be with him and make a child with him, I should be able to make sound decisions and trust that he'll make those sound decisions as well. So I put the onus on those that have the custody of the children to make sure that those children are made whole as well and get to see.
Yeah. And Tiffany, you was talking about that. I was thinking about, of course, I went through that custody stuff. I didn't take him for child support either. We worked it out on our own, and I was considered a fool for doing that. But I'd rather a broke good dad than a dad giving me all the money and he's not around. Because I know women probably are short-sighted. Like, you don't know that's a vacation for you when he got the kid. Let him take him.
Oh yeah.
Where you take him? Take him wherever. I don't care. Like I said, he brought his girlfriend to the math conference. I didn't care. I don't care. Just let's get this done. Let's get this done correctly. We can't boys in the hood. Then we can't call the father when he start getting gangbanging on the street. Then we call the father and we say, can you get him now? And the boy is like 17 and he don't want to hear from anybody, so it's pretty short-sighted. It's pretty short-sighted.
It's too, and I'll piggyback off of that because it's actually too late at that point because they've already been, they're in the streets at that point. And part of the reason men, and I have 6 brothers, 2 sons. So I'm around men all the time, a bunch of uncles, cousins, men. I'm around them all the time. And part of the things that they always say is that brotherly love, that male attention, that it's something about bonding with men that makes a difference in their lives. So when you have young boys that don't know where to receive that love, they fall victim to the streets, because one thing that they know out in the streets is if you have a broken person, you can manipulate them to do whatever it is that you want them to do. So one of the programs that you guys had like a forum on Black men teaching boys to love. That involves loving themselves, loving their spouses, loving their children. So why did you guys feel like that was a big thing to promote, and just to teach men teaching boys to love? Why is that so important?
Yeah, I mean, it's critical, you know what I mean? So even as you think about the name of our direct service, the Gentle Warriors Academy, we have to rebrand, you know, manhood, especially Black manhood. We're looked at as angry, and I know sisters deal with it too, the angry Black woman and all that, but you know, the violent male parent, you know, and I see it even at these AAU tournaments, the dad screaming on the sideline and the tough and stuff, which is fine, but you have to teach that boy to also love. You know, you have to teach him to deal with and balance his emotions. It's not only the mom's responsibilities, which moms are awesome nurturers. That's why we need both partners in this mix. Dads have strengths, moms, and whatever role it is, you play it to your strength. But, you know, it's important for them to know, for your sons to know, I love you. Hear you say that and know that it's okay, you know. So we just knew that it was critical, and that's one of the things we want to show, different testimonies from different men and different, you know, lifestyle, however they might live, and, you know, jobs and what they might do. So we just know that's really, because love is the answer at the end of the day. All these issues we're talking about, it's funny, it's cliche, but love can really conquer all. Love, the love, you may not have the kind of love, romantic love for that woman anymore, but you should still love her and respect her as the mother of your children. You should want to see that man still do well. You should still love him in a certain way, even though it didn't work out. So, you know, Black love, when we get back to that, you know, and what comes with that, the last thing I'll say is the empathy piece. We tell the fathers, you have to understand what this woman is now going to. Now she's going to have your children in the house by herself. Protection is of her mind. Do I have enough resources to make it, right? New relationship, all of these things. So when we begin to have empathy for each other, we'll also solve these problems also.
Nice. I actually like that response. I agree 100%. And one of the things, when I was watching the video, a little boy, I don't remember his name, but he said he felt when his dad showed him love and held him and hugged him and told him he loved him, he said he felt not only loved but safe. Like you said, he felt safe. It gave him the option to. And when we say Black men or men in general, let's just say men in general, showing love and emotion is not a weakness. I mean, showing that you have feelings and love your partners, it's not a weakness. It's actually your strength. And when he said he felt safe, it just warmed my heart, because it's like love, that love and emulating that love from his dad just made him feel more whole and made him feel more confident. He can go out in the world and do what he needs to do and just feel like I'm loved. I'm worthy. It's really
beautiful.
Important.
That's beautiful.
I think that's something that you guys you're in the, I mean, you don't need me to tell you, but you guys are spot on with a lot of the programs, just knowing and seeing it from the female and hearing from male counterparts. It's a lot. So,
Thank you for the support. Thank you.
Yeah. Cindy, did you have
I was looking at it because we talked about a lot of it already. I saw a couple of documentaries. I guess they were little clips like Spit and Anger. And then there was another one, I don't remember the name of it, but where the man was in court and the woman was sitting across from him and like the child basically is in the middle. So I wanted to ask you guys about, the thing I thought was interesting was the 39% of the dads feeling inappropriate, like they're not providing. That's a really sad and high number. That is I was like, wow, almost 40% of men, they said, felt like they weren't a good father, but it wasn't about them. It was more about what they were able to do or can't do. And then we know that women, typically women of color, probably get paid more. I don't know, I think I read somewhere that the average Black male salary is like $45,000 or $50,000. So I was really curious about your legacy building and your next level fathership thing that you do. Can you just talk about, I know it has modules, and I know you said you deal with child support, teaching father skills. So I saw expungement and legitimization. Expungement, like you said. And mental health, which is, oh my God. So I want to know if you either, maybe Isaac, you wanted to talk about that a little bit, or, you know.
Yeah, the legitimation piece is definitely something that is near and dear to me, because I want these dads to have rights to their children, and I want them to understand that, you know, you're not just a paycheck, you're not just money. You know what I'm saying? You know, there's data out there that suggests that when a father is in their children's lives, you know, they do better in school, they do better in sporting events. And I can tell you here, even, you know, I partner with Fathers Incorporated as an employee of another company. So what I do is me and Javin, we're strategic. Javin will tell me, hey, Isaac, I got this guy, I need him to get a job. He'll send him to me on a Monday. I'll get him a job on the Monday. He'll start the very next week. But then it's definitely up to the dad to actually take advantage of the opportunity, because we're providing those wraparound services that we talked about earlier. So, you know, all that, so that legitimation piece is very important. Partnering with Georgia Justice Project, they're a nonprofit to help eliminate any erroneous information that's on your background check. You know, man, they have been instrumental. Even when I was working with child support, they were removing misdemeanors, like stuff that hasn't even been challenged yet, that was on there. It was just sitting there. And so they had all that stuff removed. And so I'm just excited about the partnerships, the resources that we have. Man, we have a lot of resources. Mental health, the mental health piece is very important to me, because a lot of these young men that come into our organization with DHL, they're suffering from a whole lot of stuff that people don't talk about. And so mental health is definitely a big part of what we provide here at Fathers Incorporated.
Yeah, sort of you have a part in, do you have anything that addresses like this generational thing of, well, I didn't have a father, well, I didn't have a father, and he didn't have a father, and they didn't have a father. Is there that piece in there also?
Yeah, that's that father hunger. So that certainly is where we ask men to, you know, think about their experiences, you know, and where did they learn to parent, or whether they learn not to parent. Because a lot of times what you hear the guys say is, my father wasn't there, so I knew that I was going to I wasn't going to do the same thing, but they don't have the skills because they never saw it all the time. They have the desire, but now they need the skills to match that desire. So that's one of the things we certainly focus on, but that's that daddy hunger.
Nice. Well, I mean, you gave a wealth of information.
Wow, thank you.
It's just been a wealth of information. And one last question before we go. We asked this from all of our guests, and I don't know the answer if I was asked this question, but if you were given a magic wand where you could do anything with it, you can change any law, you can have anything that you wanted to have with that magic wand. If it was given to you, what would you do with the magic wand? What would you change? What would you gain? What would you do with that magic? I don't know who.
I think I'll go first with that magic wand. So
you got it. Okay, he's the quickest. You're the quickest.
So for me, you know, this goes back centuries. So if I had a magic wand and I could change anything in this current world, I would teach the entire world, the United States and all over the world, who was the original people, how we started, and who we were prior to. So I just want people to be able to just see that, see that our people created science, math, culture, and I want them to be able to see that, like even people that don't look like us, I want them to be able to see that and to see that they started from us.
Right.
That's what I would want.
Oh my God, I love your one. I love your
one. You can take it. You can take that. I like that. An appreciation for, you know, people that look like us, and the ones that don't look like us, it develops appreciation and proudness. So
and a pride, and a pride. You won't be doing foolishness on the street if you knew you were from kings and queens. You won't be running around acting like a fool in the street. You wouldn't.
I like that.
So Javin gets the wand now. Javin, you got the wand now.
I will pass that wand, because what I'm thinking is it's the work that we do. So I would just want to wave over men to not ask for, but a mission where it's in their heart to take their rightful place in the community. And that means so much. But to take, step into that position, understand who they are. And I think all these skills that we could instantly by guys and fathers just stepping up, and taking their rightful place.
Wow.
So,
I have one, so you can get my one. Javin gets mine. I can get yours.
Those were great
answers.
I mean, we really love doing this interview with you guys, and we appreciate. I want to just thank Tamika for setting the meeting up and getting you guys through to us so that we can interview and just educate. Our purpose for Two Polychicks is to educate in layman's terms and just to inform people on how politics and actions that we take every day is involved in our daily lives. Politics is in our daily lives, and being a dad, having the fatherhood piece of it, it's part of our political system, but it's also part of our emotional and financial well-being as well. So we thank you. If you guys want to follow or get more information, fathersincorporated.com, you can go to their website, and there's a wealth of information. I mean, they have so many programs, and I mean, they can do, you probably can volunteer or go and seek or start your
donate,
own.
Right? Or donate.
Donate as well. So you guys, we truly thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
If you follow us on Two Polychicks on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and
I'm gonna watch her struggle.
Two Polychicks. And if you watch the show, we're on YouTube at Polychicks. Thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you all
guys.
so much. Thank you
You're
all so much.
welcome. Thank you.